If you walk into a crowded room and immediately look for the exit, you are not antisocial. You might actually possess a rare biological trait that evolution designed for survival. Most people feel energized by noise and chatter, but a small percentage of the population feels their energy drain away the moment they step into a mob. Science has finally explained why this happens. The answer is not that you are broken, but that your brain is processing reality in high definition while everyone else is watching it in standard. This is the hidden psychology of the crowd avoider. Your dislike for crowds is not a choice, because it is hardware. Research into sensory processing sensitivity shows that about 20% of people have a nervous system that amplifies stimuli. When you step into a busy street or a packed festival, your brain absorbs everything, instead of filtering out the background noise like the average person. The lights and smells mix with shifting conversations and body language to flood in at once. Think of it like a computer running too many high-power programs simultaneously. The system slows down, not because it is weak, but because it is processing more data than the server was built to handle. If you want to understand the true power of your mind, hit that subscribe button right now, as we build a community for the rare few who think differently. A specific chemical difference changes everything. Because most people run on dopamine. When they see a crowd, their brain releases this neurotransmitter to give them a buzz of excitement. Your brain likely works differently because you are sensitive to dopamine, meaning that same rush feels like anxiety or overstimulation. You thrive on a different chemical called acetylcholine, which is the neurotransmitter of focus, deep thought, and internal calm. It releases when you are alone, reading, or working on a passion project. The crowd chasers look for their next quick hit of dopamine, while you bathe your brain in the chemical that powers long-term memory and complex problem-solving. You are not missing out on the party, but rather fueled by a premium energy source that requires silence to burn efficiently. If every human 10,000 years ago ran blindly into the center of the gathering, the tribe would have been eaten by predators. Evolution needed a different type of human, known as the Watcher. This person stood at the edge of the firelight to face the dark and listen for the snap of a twig. The psychological discomfort you feel in the middle of a crowd is an ancient survival mechanism, telling you that you are in the wrong position. Your instinct is to be on the periphery, observing the threats and opportunities that the group misses. You avoid the center because you cannot do your job from there, rather than because you are afraid. The Watcher sees the storm coming before anyone else feels the wind. Standing back allows you to see things others ignore. Attention is the scarcest resource on the planet in 2025, and crowd avoiders are the hoarders of it. Your pattern recognition increases drastically when you are not caught up in the collective energy of a mob. You notice the slight hesitation in a voice that indicates a lie, or the micro-expression of anger on a smiling face. Characters like Sherlock Holmes or the driver are portrayed as solitary figures for a reason beyond cinematic tropes. To observe the world with that level of precision, you must detach from it. You cannot analyze the game effectively if you are constantly running around on the field with the ball. Crowds have a dangerous side effect called de-individuation that degrades intelligence. When people join a large group, they lose their self-awareness and adopt the group's mind, which we see in panic buying, riots, or stock market bubbles. You are naturally resistant to this phenomenon. Physically removing yourself from the herd allows you to intellectually remove yourself from herd mentality. You are the one who questions why everyone is running in the same direction, and this autonomy is rare. History is filled with disasters that could have been avoided if more people had stepped back from the crowd to question the situation. Your discomfort in groups serves as a defense system, protecting your ability to think independently. A specific network in your brain called the default mode network only turns on when you shut out the world. This network is weak for most people because they are constantly reacting to external stimuli, but it acts as a superhighway for the crowd avoider. This is where creativity, self-reflection, and future planning happen. Your brain is not resting when you are alone, but rather connecting disparate ideas to solve complex problems. Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight solves the case in the silence of the cave, rather than at the fundraiser. Your best ideas never arrive when you are shouting over loud music at a bar, but instead appear when the noise stops. Solitude functions as the engine of your innovation. People who avoid others are often the most empathetic, due to the activity of mirror neurons. These brain cells fire when you perform an action or when you see someone else perform it. Your mirror neurons fire as if you are crying when you see someone else cry. These neurons are often hyperactive for the crowd avoider, so walking through a crowd feels like being bombarded by the emotions of hundreds of strangers. You pick up on the anxiety of the commuter next to you or the stress of the shopper in the aisle. You avoid crowds because you care too much, rather than because you do not care, and your system needs to reboot to handle the emotional load. Small talk is physically painful for you, and standing in a room discussing the weather with 20 different people feels like a waste of life. The psychology of the crowd avoider relies on a preference for depth. You would rather talk to one person for 4 hours about the nature of the universe than talk to 50 people for 5 minutes about nothing. This is an efficiency requirement rather than arrogance, because your brain craves high-value data exchange. Interaction in a crowd is necessarily shallow because there is too much noise to go deep. Avoiding these environments allows you to filter your social life for meaning. You trade width for depth to ensure that the connections you make are solid enough to last a lifetime. The masters of any craft, like grandmasters of chess or elite coders, share a capacity for deep work. This is the ability to focus without distraction for long periods. Crowds are the anti-flow state because they act as constant interruption. The person who avoids crowds is often protecting their ability to enter this zone of total absorption. It takes about 23 minutes to get back into deep focus after an interruption, but you are interrupted every 10 seconds in a crowd. Choosing solitude protects the only state in which human beings produce elite-level work. You are preparing something of value to give to the world, rather than hiding from it. Social energy functions like a battery. Extroverts possess a solar panel that charges by being out in the sun with others, while you have a rechargeable battery that must be plugged into a wall in a quiet room. An extrovert might feel buzzed when leaving a party, but you might feel physically heavy, irritable, or foggy. This real physiological response is known as the introvert hangover, occurring when your body has depleted its glucose and neurotransmitters trying to process the social environment. Crowd avoiders are masters of energy management, who know exactly how much charge they have. You refuse to spend it on situations that do not offer a return on investment, and guard your energy because you know how expensive it is to recharge. A misconception exists that crowd avoiders are lonely, but the reality is usually the opposite. The relationships you have are ironclad because you are selective. A person who needs a crowd to feel valid often has 100 acquaintances, but no one to call in an emergency. The crowd avoider builds a fortress with a small inner circle. This mirrors the psychology of the lone wolf archetype, which is a creature that is fiercely protective of its pack rather than one that hates it. It matters when you let someone in. You concentrate your loyalty on the few people who have earned it instead of diluting it across 1,000 strangers in a club. Your absence from the crowd makes your presence with your friends more valuable. Crowds demand immediate reaction, such as moving when someone bumps you or dancing when the music changes. There is no time to think, yet your brain is wired for the check and correct method. You take information in and pause to process it against your long-term memory before acting. This pause is impossible in a chaotic environment. Avoiding crowds places you in an environment where you can use your greatest strength of strategy. This explains why you often come up with the perfect comeback 3 hours after the argument, or the perfect solution to a problem while driving home alone. You are thorough rather than slow. You are playing chess, while the crowd is playing Hungry Hungry Hippos. A performative aspect to crowds rings alarm bells in your head, because people wear masks when they are in groups. They laugh at jokes they do not find funny and agree with opinions they do not hold just to fit in. This lack of authenticity feels like an unscratchable itch to a person with your psychology, since you value truth over politeness. The character of the grumpy loner often comes from this intolerance for social performance. You are not actually grumpy, but instead refuse to perform the script. Avoiding crowds is often a refusal to participate in the collective lie. You would rather be silent and real than loud and fake. The world of 2025 was not built for you. Open-plan offices, constant notifications, and urbanization are all designed to force interaction, which may make you feel more exhausted than ever. Society currently treats solitude as a problem to be solved, rather than a state to be cultivated. We are told that we are failing if we are not networking, but the data suggests otherwise. The most pioneering advancements in human history, like the theory of relativity or the personal computer, were born in moments of intense solitude. Your challenge today is to stop apologizing for your nature. The world needs you to make sense of the noise from the outside, rather than joining it. Your avoidance of crowds acts as a filter. It filters out the noise so you can hear the signal, and filters out the acquaintances so you can find the brothers and sisters. It removes the groupthink so you can find the truth. You are a specialist in a world of generalists. You are busy understanding the scenery while they are busy being part of the scene. Do not try to force your square peg into the round hole of a crowded room. Your power comes from what you can do when you finally have the silence to be yourself, rather than how many people you can tolerate. Being the one who stands apart requires courage, because it is easy to get lost in the mob or let the current carry you. It is much harder to stand on the bank and watch the river flow, yet the view is always better from the outside. You are rare rather than alone if you recognized yourself in this description. Hit like and subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of the few if this video helped you understand your own mind a little better.